From the Louvre to Sao Paulo, and now a series of high-profile art heists in Italy. Stolen art is once again making headlines, and in some cases, these thefts are carried out in mere minutes, sometimes in broad daylight, despite alarms and security guards. So what's driving this apparent surge in heists? Well, to help us make sense of it all, we are joined now by Anthony Amore. He is a globally recognized art theft expert, as well as the director of security and chief investigator at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Anthony, thanks so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
All right, so we've had a pretty remarkable run in terms of art heists, especially in the last little bit. Would you say that art thefts are actually becoming more common, or are these back-to-back high-profile heists all just a coincidence?
I would actually say neither. When the Louvre happened in October, it created a really strong news hook. So people started paying attention a lot more than media did. I would say Canadian media has done a really good job of covering these thefts, but they are always happening. I will grant that of late, the heists that we've seen have been of enormous value. I mean, the loot taken from the Louvre was over $100 million. And this theft in Sicily 3 days ago, it's around 92 million American. It's just an enormous heist. So it's been a combination of the fact that art theft is always happening. It never really abates, but we have seen some really big heists of late.
Very big heists and also very brazen, Anthony. And so what makes a museum or an art gallery just so vulnerable to crime? I mean, would you say these are robberies that are a result of basic security failures?
Well, lots of things go into the fact that museums get robbed. One of the things is that, a museum has millions of dollars worth of property inside, these valuable items that we in the museum world really work hard to get people to come and see. So we don't hide them. They're not behind a vault. The whole purpose is accessibility. So when you combine the challenge of securing something that you also want to make accessible, you have great vulnerability.
So Anthony, take us inside the investigation after a major artwork is stolen, because I know you have been involved in investigations. What happens in the first hours or days? What are investigators looking for that, say, the average person might not be thinking about?
Well, it's typically three major steps are taking place. First, you're collecting all the forensic information. You're looking for fingerprints, any sorts of hairs or fibers that might be left behind for DNA analysis. You're examining video. I mean, the Regional Museum in Messina has video surveillance that the police are certainly examining. The second thing is that you're looking at employees, frankly, because lots of museum theft has an insider element to it. The FBI estimates 80 to 90% do. And then the third thing is that detectives out on the street, investigators are working their sources. They're working the criminal underworld, so to speak, to see what they're hearing. Because when something like this happens, everyone starts talking in the street. So they're really pushing their sources to see what they can learn. Those are the three primary steps that are taken right away.
Well, Anthony, when it comes to stolen artwork, most of it, I mean, it's famous. People know what it looks like. They know where they can see it, which museum, which country it's in. It's extremely valuable. But how do these thieves actually profit from it, given that these are popular artworks and people know about them?
Well, that's the trick. That's the key question, Miranda. When people steal these works, they believe they can monetize them, but in reality, they're almost impossible to monetize. Look at the four works taken in Sicily. They're all over the place now. They're in newspapers, but they're blasted all over the internet. So they instantly become highly recognizable. And then when you steal something worth $92 million, you're not looking for someone to give you 10 or 20,000. You're looking for a big payday. But nobody's going to pay something that you're expecting for items that can only get you in trouble. So the real art to this is trying to monetize them. Again, that's nearly impossible. So then the second step is you'll maybe use them as collateral in some sort of criminal endeavor, or you'll see if you can ransom them back. hopefully you can return them for a reward if that's available. So you look for these secondary ways to make some sort of money, but there's not really any buyers for these. This is not some Dr. No figure who commissioned the theft of 4 paintings.
All right. Well, we have seen some recoveries, Anthony. Just recently in northern Italy, investigators managed to trace stolen works months after the theft. But how common is that? I mean, what tends to be the breakthrough in these cases?
Well, masterpieces are recovered more frequently than lesser value or lesser known works. So highly recognizable works are slightly easy to recover. None of it's easy. I would say that the promise for the works taken in Sicily is a bit higher, like you're seeing here with the theft in Parma, because Italy's Carabinieri is, in my opinion, the best art theft investigative unit in the world. They have 300 members who are experts in what they do. So I think there's a higher chance of these being recovered than maybe if they were stolen elsewhere.
And quickly, before we let you go here, Anthony, from your experience investigating the theft at the Gardner Museum, I mean, what are the biggest mistakes you see museums still making when it comes to protecting their valuable art?
It's hard to say because every museum does security their own way. I would say the first most important step, though, is vetting your employees and those people who have access to your collection. That's something not every museum does to the extent that it should. But you'd have to look at each individual museum to see where the weaknesses are, and that's one of the problems with answering a question like that.
All right, that is security expert specializing in art crime, Mr. Anthony Amore. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Miranda.